Hey everyone, how's it going today? Happy reInvent. So I'm going to start off with just running through some of the stuff that we do from a value proposition, and then we're going to jump into walking through the product itself and really show you how it's built and why we're so proud of what we have. Clicker. So our theme for this event is unstoppable, and unstoppable is a pretty broad and big term to utilize, but what it really comes down to us is expand and the power of distributed SQL built into the cloud. It's really about cloud scale, and it's really about our ability to change the paradigm about what people think about databases in the cloud. It's about performance, it's about true scale, it's about high availability, it's about a global footprint, it's about multi-cloud, and it's about having hybrid deliverables. And we think we bring that all together in a packaged solution that's fully managed, that really changes the way that you guys can think about taking advantage of databases in the cloud and building modern applications. So a little bit about MariaDB, and I think this slide is valuable because not all startups are created equally. MariaDB has been around for a long time, and what we really have is a really happy and massive user base. So people are probably familiar with some of these terms, but Adam Selipsky was talking about Samsung today in the keynote. That's MariaDB. That's built running on AWS. We have really proven technology. 75% of the Fortune 500 are utilizing us, over 1 billion downloads. It's a great technology utilized by many customers every single day, and what we're really doing is taking that and moving it to the cloud, thinking about how do we drive IT modernization and how do we really power with AWS and deliver cloud scale to our customers. And that is what SkySQL was built, and that's really what it's all about. So 3 key innovations that I think we really like to talk about that actually change the way we deliver on this value proposition. One is, as an ISV, it's really about having a multi-cloud hybrid approach. We have lots of on-prem customers. Most of them are not flipping the switch to the cloud overnight. It's phases, it's years. We have the ability for them to deploy and utilize MariaDB in their current environments and then adopt and build into the cloud with SkySQL as they move forward. We also are multi-cloud, and I think all of our customers at some level or the other are thinking about primary, secondary clouds, balancing workloads, avoiding vendor lock-in. This is the reality we live in, and only an ISV can really deliver on that promise and truly give you global cloud scale with proximity performance, cost savings, and all the areas that you really want to maximize to make sure that you have the best solution for your business and that it's future-proof to grow. The other we really think about, and this was also an interesting takeaway from the keynote today, they talked about Aurora, they talked about Redshift, they talked about a massive problem. It's the ability, they're going to deliver ETL, but how do we coordinate across these 2 different disparate systems that are both very costly? With SkySQL, we can package that in with our expand engine, and you have the ability to write applications that take advantage of both analytical and transactional data. And to be honest, that is the future of where everyone's rolling, moving away from really dispersed data sources and having 10 different databases with unique compromises and doing unique things, and really delivering integrated value. And that's a key focus of SkySQL for us. And the last section that is really critical for us is distributed SQL. So distributed SQL in the SQL query language built into SkySQL is a drop-down option for you. Seasonality, Black Friday, tax day, businesses that really need to be able to coordinate their business and not have to buy to the peak can scale in and scale out. It's distributed. It's a share nothing architecture. It is built to fail. It is built on Kubernetes. It has the ability to self-heal. We are truly able to deliver a service that has dynamic scale in a way that we haven't seen offered in the database market as well. You might also ask about competition. We actually bring that and welcome it. We ran a performance benchmark against Cockroach recently. We published all the results, and we're actively asking anyone that would like to challenge what Expand can do and the power of Expand in distributed SQL from a performance perspective and a scalability perspective to please come. If you can beat us, we'll give $25,000 to charity. We've proven it, we believe in it, it's built, and it works phenomenally well. So the AWS partnership really delivers the cloud element. SkySQL on top of it changes the entire database game, and it's really bringing us into the future of the realm of possible, moving past limitations and moving towards modern data needs. I don't know if I have notes. So we're going to move over to validate all the things that we talk about. I think I wanted to make sure you guys had a baseline of what we believe in and why it's important. And Ellen's now going to run through some of the architecture, how it's built, and why we deliver on the promises I made.
Absolutely. So this is the SkySQL portal, and the reason that SkySQL is different than other databases as a service that are on the market is because SkySQL is using the enterprise server of MariaDB. Anybody can download the community server of MariaDB. A lot of you guys might already have it downloaded. This is the enterprise server, which means that you get things like non-blocking backups, that you get products like MaxScale, but that also means that you get engineering support. So if there is a bug fix or a security patch, we can actually make that for you. We can actually change the product for you and fix those things, which we are the only database as a service anywhere that has the enterprise server. So there's a lot on this page, I understand that, but I want to show you a couple different things. So we have the ability to have multiple different services in multiple different regions, also in multiple different clouds, all in one account. And you can also have them across on-premise and in the cloud. But let's look at actually launching a service so you can kind of see how easy it is. We have a lot of different flavors of databases, if you will, analytics being one of them that you can observe your business. You can run analytics on years' worth of data, months' worth of data, whatever the case may be, and understand how your workload and how your applications are actually using that data. We also have transactional instances as well. We have a few different types of transactional instances, one being a single node, so not very big workloads, you don't need high availability, whatever the case may be, and then also primary replica. So your primary replica is your high availability, your automatic failover, your read-write splitting, those types of things. And then our third option here is expand, is distributed SQL, is the ability to do massive concurrency, huge amounts of data, a lot of processing power in these expand instances, and this is all available on AWS as well as on Google. But this allows for customers to grow beyond the current limitations of a traditional database. So we're going to pick AWS, we're going to pick our region, whatever region we want, and then we're going to pick our instance size. So I want to go back up to the instance size, actually, because we see here that we've got some options, but then we have the option to have bigger instances. But I want to show that because you can start right now, today, literally right this second, with our free $500 credit, and you can start on very easy point of entry. You don't have to get on the professional tier. You don't have to do all of these crazy things. You can start right now today and start testing this. And it doesn't have to be a gigantic deployment right off the bat. You can start testing. You can get into it as well. So we also have a lot of other sizes, instance sizes, storage sizes, all of that stuff. We can fit 20, 30, 60 nodes, hundreds of terabytes of data. So we're not limited, but we can also scale in and out automatically our storage and our compute instances. So you can set it up to scale as much as you want, and then to set it for increments as well. And so we do use two different storage types within AWS. We suggest, of course, IO1, because then you can have provisioned IOPS. Provisioned IOPS, which will then help your storage layer be more performant, which will help expand be more performant as well. And you can do that with AWS only. You can provision IOPS. And then you can also auto-scale your storage, which is great. The thing down here, one node. So you can start testing expand today with one node for easy entry. So you can see how your queries work. You can see what expand really looks like. But we, of course, suggest 3 or more nodes because it is a distributed SQL engine. You do want to distribute your workload out across multiple nodes. We have 2 different versions. Of course, we suggest to pick the most recent version, and then we would name that service. We could technically launch that service today, but this is a lightning talk. We don't have time to launch services, so I've already got it launched. We're seeing on here that there's a lot of services as well. This is what we just launched. We have a column store service, which is our analytics service. But there's a lot of information that you have, the size of the service, your spending. We also have monitoring as well. And we're going to look into the monitoring so we can see what we're actually doing with these services. In the monitoring portal, there is a lot of information. But you can see that you're able to monitor every single one of your instances. This expand instance only has 3 nodes, but we've got customers with 20 nodes. You can monitor each one of your nodes as well as MaxScale. MaxScale is the top item here, and that's our database proxy if you're not familiar with it. We could talk for hours about MaxScale, but basically it's a database proxy, does read-write splitting, does query caching, stuff like that. All of that is monitored separately and together. So this is the service monitored together, but it's also each individual node. And this monitoring is available for any SkySQL service across any cloud, but also for any MariaDB service with enterprise anywhere, on-prem and a private cloud, anything. So we have a ton of information here in the monitor, but I want to look over at some of the information on the side. It didn't work. That's fine. It's supposed to pause the video. Anyway, we've got logs in SkySQL. We also have alerting for the monitor. So if you have high CPU utilization, we can set alerts for that. You can connect to Datadog. You can connect to a lot of different monitoring tools as well. You don't necessarily have to use the SkySQL monitoring. We also have an analytical workspace. We have, of course, user settings, firewall, all that great stuff. We are partnering and just purchased a geospatial company, so geospatial is coming to SkySQL, is coming to the cloud. You can currently use our geospatial abilities on-prem, and very shortly you can use those in the cloud. Next slide.
I got it.
So I want to actually talk about distributed SQL. I want to talk about expand. We've talked a little bit about it so far, right? But let's look at a traditional database application. A traditional cloud topology, you have your entire data set on each one of these nodes, your primary and some number of replicas, whether those replicas be standby replicas or active replicas. You have your entire data set. Maybe you're doing read-write splitting. Maybe you have automatic failover, if you're lucky. But you have this entire database on each node. With distributed SQL, we have more nodes, but we also don't have the entire data set living on each one of those nodes, which then allows us to parallelize. It allows us to do more workload because every one of those nodes is a read-write node. You can actually distribute your workload across all the nodes as well as your data across all the nodes. And to remind you guys, this is a SQL database, it's ACID compliant, and it's available in the cloud. So you don't have to move to a NoSQL database, you don't have to change your SQL language, anything like that. This is ACID compliant and SQL standard. So when we're distributing this data, something to think about is your primary is basically the deciding factor of how much workload you can use, right? A lot of customers are sizing their primaries up to handle workloads that aren't really fitting on traditional database sizes. We have a customer We have a customer right now. They are actually, this is a true story. They had 64 vCPUs. We've also had a customer with 96 vCPUs, which is way too big. But they had 64 vCPUs, and they were doing some read-write splitting. They were helping the workload a little bit, but it was too big. It wasn't working. Their storage layer was too big. They were going to have to start sharding or splitting apps off that were using too much database power. So instead of doing this, instead of sharding, instead of refabricating their entire database, they're now using expand. And with expand, because you can read-write on any node, you can do parts of queries on each node, you can do part of a query or a join on node 1 and the other part of it on node 4, bring that data back together because it's parallelized, we can do a lot more workload on smaller machines. 364 vCPU machines is a lot of money. 4, 6, 8, 16 core machines is less. So you can really maximize your spend here with also growing your database because these databases are growing. This is not an uncommon problem with people sizing their machines up, with things getting massive and not making sense anymore within a traditional database structure. This is something that we're seeing a lot, and it actually saves you money to be able to distribute out, but then it also allows you to go after bigger customers. We have customers that they were stuck. They couldn't take on any bigger customers because they couldn't get a database big enough. We now have them on Expand, and they're taking on way bigger customers than they were before because they can actually distribute, and they can actually handle the spikes in their workload rather than sizing for those spikes and living with that cost. They can distribute in and out, and there's also lots of other features that we don't have time to talk about in a lightning talk, but we do have a booth, and we do have a million slides to go over it all with you, and we can demo. But something to know is this is true ability to scale. This is hundreds of terabytes in your database. This is databases across regions, across the world. You can have GDPR compliance. You can have all of this, and it's available on-premise, of course, but also in AWS and in Google. And you can really utilize your workload without having to change your applications, without having to make things fit in a traditional database. So any questions will be over to the side after the presentation. And then our booth is 2548 if you guys want to come and see us and ask some questions.
Thank you very much.